If you've been in a car wreck and you've got a property damage claim and you want to maximize your payout, I want to give you 6 essential tips on property damage to help you maximize your payout with the insurance company. Hi, I'm Ted Spalding. I'm an Atlanta personal injury trial lawyer, and property damage is something that we handle oftentimes for our car accident victims as we're handling their personal injury case. And I have developed 6 tips, whether it is for total loss of a vehicle or you have a repair situation with your vehicle. So I'm going to give you these 6 tips. We're going to flip between when it's repairable and when it is a total loss. And at the end, I'm going to give you 2 out of the 6 tips that are for each claim, whether it is a total loss or repairable. It doesn't matter. So stick to the end and hear what I've got to say about these 2 essential tips that cover any property damage claim that you have. So let's dive in. Tip number 1, if it's repairable, you want to use OEM parts every single time. Do not let the insurance company go and use aftermarket parts. They're notorious for doing this. I've even had them fight with us initially and say, that's not required. We don't have to use OEM parts. No, that's not true. Think of it this way. The whole point in the law is to try to put you back to where you were before the wreck occurred. And so if you've got a vehicle that you got straight off of the lot, it has not been repaired before, so it's OEM parts that are being removed and replaced, it should be replaced with an OEM part. Now, they're going to fight you on it because it costs them more money, but this is your legal right. So be very, very careful in asking for OEM parts. Number 2, if it's totaled, so total value of the vehicle, you want to do your research. Don't wait on the adjuster to go do their estimate and say, okay, here it is. Here's what it costs. Here's what the fair market value is. There you go. You want to do it. You want to be ready to give them several estimates. Kelley Blue Book, Edmunds.com, those sorts of things. You want to be giving them information, not waiting just on them because you know their number is going to be low. Now, they're pretty good at getting close. They'll get within a couple of $100 oftentimes. Every once in a while, you're going to have a fight in the thousands of dollars, but you want to have your own estimates. And I tell people, get at least 3 and average them out. That will give you a good guidepost of what you're looking to do. And stick around for a tip here in a second because it's going to go into another avenue when it comes to using Kelley Blue Book and some of these other things to negotiate on a total loss. Let's flip back to when it is repairable. So repairable, please, super important. Do not forget you have 2 claims. You've got the repair cost with OEM parts, as we learned in tip number 1. That's one part of the claim. Then after that's done, you've got diminished value, separate part of the claim. So you should be getting 2 payouts when you have a repair versus a total loss situation. Diminished value. I have got a video that gives the ultimate guide on how to handle diminished value. This is where insurance companies really fight on property damage, and you could be out thousands, tens of thousands of dollars if you just accept what they tell you. So watch that other video that I have, and it'll give you some really good tips there. Again, back to a total loss situation. You only got 1 claim. That is the full market value of your vehicle. And what I tell people is, think of it, it's a second before the wreck occurred. If you could go off and sell it to a neighbor, what would you be able to sell it to them for? Year, make, model, how much mileage is on it, what condition it's in. And so you want to be real careful when it comes to a total loss situation. And adjusters are going to pull some tricks. They're going to say, look, we don't go by Kelley Blue Book. We don't go by Edmunds, this place. Anything you give them, they're going to say, we don't go by that. It's not true, folks. You don't have to go by their estimate, okay? This is just evidence to suggest what the values are. The more estimates you can pepper them with that are all around the number you're asking for, the better chances you have of getting that number. They can argue every second that they're not going to use this, we're not going to use that, but it's not true. You can use anything, basically. Okay. Now that folds in to the last 2 tips. These are tips for whether you have a total loss situation and you're looking at fair market value of vehicle, or you've got the repair and diminished value side. It doesn't matter, either one. So the first of these tips is do not forget total loss of use of a vehicle, even if it's for 1 day. Okay. So you might have a situation, think of it this way. You've got total loss or it's repairable. It's in the shop. you're trying to get a rental car, they won't give one to you right away, or they're delaying. It's taking 3, 4, 5 days for the adjuster to get set up, to come out, look at the vehicle, all these things. They're not giving you a rental. Every single day that you don't have a vehicle, whether rental that they're paying for so you don't have a loss, or no vehicle at all, you have, as part of your damage claim, the loss of use. You do not have a vehicle. Several ways to prove that. Number one, go out, get a rental until they start paying for it. That's the evidence of your loss. I'm paying $85 a day for a rental. Now, you can't go off and get a Ferrari if you weren't driving a Ferrari, but it's the reasonable, close in kind vehicle. That's your damage there. If you don't have the money to get a rental, you'd have to prove that because you have to mitigate damages, but it would be the general cost, $85, $90 a day, whatever it is, of not having a vehicle to be able to drive around. Now, where it gets even more important is if you've got lost wages attached to your total loss. You use this vehicle to get to and from work or go do work if you're an independent contractor and you could not work and lost wage or earnings. That becomes part of your loss of use claim. That's part of your overall property damage claim. This is a big area that folks without an attorney don't even realize they have and what they can pursue. So even if it's 1 day without a vehicle till things get set up, they get you in a rental, you have a 1 day loss of use to add to your property damage claim. Again, whether it's total loss or it's a repairable situation, doesn't matter. And the final one, if you need an expert, whether it's a total loss situation or diminished value is typically where it happens on the repair side. So let's talk about experts and when to use them and what they may cost. First, on the total loss side, you see it more there and more on the diminished value side on the repair situation. Total loss. So what you're looking at is if you're really fighting over the market value of the vehicle, they're not accepting your estimates, their estimate is super low. Your only other choice is to go get what's called an independent adjuster. They're out there that do this, that can give you a report on what the fair market value of that vehicle is. Think of it like buying a home. You're going to look at comps, right? Well, what's this house worth in this neighborhood? What are the similar houses in the area selling for? It's the exact same concept. This person will go out and they have the tools, kind of like Kelley Blue Book type situations, but look at actual sales and those sorts of things to come up with an expert opinion in writing for you of what the value of your vehicle is. Now, you're not going to want to use this expert unless you're really fighting over decent value differences, okay? I'm talking thousands of dollars. Why? Because this expert could cost you anywhere from $250 up to $1,000 to do this report, and they still don't have to accept it. Now, it is extremely good evidence. Why? Because you can then file a lawsuit and use this expert in court where you can't do that with Kelley Blue Book. So it is the creme de la creme of evidence to show what the value is because they know you can call this person to court, okay? So if you're dealing with a situation, especially if you have a higher end vehicle, you've got a collector vehicle. I had a client one time that had a 1969 Camaro, one of my favorite vehicles, and he had done a bunch of stuff to it. It had tremendous value because of it being a collectible. It was totaled. What's the value? We were fighting over that with all of the additions and things. What would the market bear if he went to auction? We had to hire an expert. It was worth it though, because guess what? We were 20, 30 grand apart on value and we're able to get it done once we hired an expert. That's well worth $1,000 for the expert opinion. Comes up again in diminished value claims a lot. This was fought every single time by insurance companies. It is the hardest claim to work on your own. An expert may be needed and oftentimes worthwhile because you are often going to be thousands of dollars apart on a diminished value claim. So hiring an expert there is oftentimes very, very important and worthwhile. Now, it's ultimately a personal financial decision whether you need to hire this expert or not, given how far apart you are and what you're willing to take. If at the end of the day, it just doesn't make economic sense to spend $500, $750 on an expert, they're close enough, you want to take it, then take it. Don't go through the expense if you don't need to. You don't want to do it unless it's really worthwhile. So these are my tips to help you maximize your payout in a property damage claim. I hope this has helped you. If you've enjoyed the video, I hope you'll subscribe to our channel. We've got a lot of good legal tips in all different areas surrounding personal injury, whether it's a car accident, slip and fall, you've been hit by an Uber driver, those sorts of things. We've got a ton of value. Hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.